This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening. I'm Amelia Lee. We are just 78 days away from the election, and new national polling from YouGov show Vice President Kamala Harris with a 2-point lead over former President Donald Trump. Democrats are hoping to widen that margin this week at the Democratic National Convention. Washington correspondent Molly Martinez joins us with what we can expect.
Crews here at the United Center are putting on the finishing touches to the convention floor, preparing for some 50,000 expected attendees. The theme of this week is For the People, For Our Future. Programming kicks off Monday with a welcome speech from Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Also expected at the lectern, President Joe Biden, former presidents Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, and former First Lady Michelle Obama. Vice presidential nominee Tim Walz is headlining Wednesday, and the Woman of the Week, Vice President Kamala Harris, takes the stage Thursday.
This is going to be a uplifting and hopeful tone here this week because Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are for working people. They're for building a future for everyone.
The themes for each night will be For the People Monday. Tuesday is a bold vision for America's future. Wednesday will focus on reproductive rights with the theme of a fight for our freedoms. And Thursday will be For Our Future. Along with the 50,000 expected attendees, thousands more are expected outside of the United Center. Monday, a major Gaza war protest is slated a few blocks from the DNC. Some 200 pro-Palestinian groups are organizing the demonstration. This convention comes 1 month after the Republicans had their turn in Milwaukee. Former President Donald Trump is expected to release counter-programming every night of the DNC, finishing it off with a rally in the battleground state of Arizona Friday. At the United Center, I'm Molly Martinez.
One of the big talking points amongst the Democratic Party is the economy and price gouging. With the DNC happening this week, voters can expect to hear about the party's plans on immigration and border security. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear talked with Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation this morning, weighing in about labor unions and the support in a red state.
I have never heard an employer talk about right to work in Kentucky. In fact, we've opened a number of facilities that have union workers. We see more and more companies using the building trades, union labor, to build their facilities. In fact, union membership has gone up in Kentucky each of the last 2 years, and certainly our building trades are busier than they have ever been.
About $11 billion has been invested in electric vehicle facilities in Kentucky. 3 are expected to open next year. Governor Beshear is expected to concentrate some of his speech on the issue of labor at the DNC this week. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump rallied support at an event near Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania yesterday. More than 10,000 people packed the arena, but before the rally, during an interview, the former president compared his plan for the economy to that of Vice President Harris's. He warned that the Harris economic plan would hurt the U.S., comparing it to other countries' failed progressive plans.
Because my plan works. My plan's proven to work. It worked for 4 years. We had the best economy we've ever had as a country. It works for other countries also. And if you look at what she said, it was basically a socialist plan that's ripped apart every country it's ever been involved in, including Venezuela, lots of others.
A source close to Trump says he will be hosting a series of messaging events next week.
Well, over the last couple of minutes, I've heard a few rumbles of thunder, but it's a lot better than what it was yesterday, where we had about 400 lightning strikes in about 10 minutes. Right now, though, looking at temperatures across eastern Kentucky, these were the observed highs today, and a lot of us didn't even see 80. 82 in Somerset and 81 in Monticello, 81 in Williamsburg were the highest temperatures. Harlan also checked in at 82, but mid-70s in Jackson and Hazard, Pikeville at 79, 73 in Wise too, and then current temperatures are sitting in the high 60s, and a few low 70s are mixed in as well. And talking about the storms we saw earlier, there is a storm moving through parts of Leslie County right now, but that is where the lightning is right now. But only 4 strikes have happened in the last hour, so not too bad. And then over the next 12 hours, we're going to really just be sitting in the 70s and 60s. Not going to get much cooler, but also not going to get hot at all tomorrow. We might raise about 6 degrees as we head into tomorrow afternoon. Amelia?
Thank you, Drake. Appalachia is an area full of culture and history. Today, folks got the opportunity to share some history that saves people's lives to this day. WYMT's Austin Hicks reports on the impact medicinal herbs have in Appalachia.
On Sunday afternoon, monuments across Appalachian, Virginia hosted a Forest Botanicals Region Living Monument Story Walk Trail. 10 monuments were placed along a 2-mile trail. Each one tells the story of how people in Appalachia use medicinal herbs. These herbs are still being used today to create life-saving medicines.
One of the things that's so special about this is that, people living in Appalachia have had relationships with these plants for millennia. So even prior to colonization, indigenous peoples were tending forest gardens throughout the Appalachian understory.
Monuments also spoke on how other cultures in Appalachia use herbs in different ways.
And for people to understand that Appalachian people enjoy the forest just as much as every other culture in Appalachia, and that we have our own unique uses and plants that we hold important to our culture.
It is also a reminder that there is more to Appalachian than coal mines.
Stop calling us the coal fields, because we have so much more here than that. And so when a region is just defined by one industry or one product, then that kind of limits what we think about that region. And
officials with monuments across Appalachian, Virginia say they will put up one final monument next spring. In Norton, Austin Hicks, WYMT Mountain News.
Officials say they hope that the event inspires people to learn more about Appalachian history. The Middlesboro Fire Department shared on their Facebook page that they are experiencing phone outages that happened on Friday. Today, those outages continue. In the post on Facebook, the department wrote that the ATT phone lines are down. If you do have an emergency, you should call 911. For non-emergencies, you can call 606-248-2121 or the Middlesboro Police Department, and they'll contact the fire department via radio. At this time, there is not an estimate on when those phone lines will be back up. Officials at Heinemann Settlement School are continuing to help restore thousands of items damaged in the July 2022 flood. Throughout the weekend, a group of volunteers worked to clean several pictures, vinyls, and documents at the school. Flood recovery archivist Sarah Inscalalo says it can be a tedious process cleaning those items.
Once they're thawed, they're still going to be very wet, but once they're wet, we will separate them out one by one in order in which they were in the folder, as we've done on this table. If you need to have, if it's completely filthy and dirty, it needs to be saturated, or it needs to be cleaned, we have something like this, which is a document cleaner that we'll use to clean the documents.
Insulaco says they still have nearly 3 industrial freezers filled with flood-damaged items. The city of Lexington has seen a handful of shootings over the last week. From property damage to fatalities, Lexington has dealt with several shootings in the recent weeks. Divine Karama is the director of the anti-gun violence organization. When Lexington, he says the city usually sees shooting spikes in May or June. But in the last 2 years, they've been in August and September.
Stepping back and looking at this from a bigger picture, we don't want to panic. The work that we have been committed to doing for the last 2 years has been working. Even with this latest spike, gun violence is still trending downward. In Lexington, almost 60% from 2 years ago. So that means we're doing something right as a city, as a community.
Karama says while there isn't a mass threat to the public,
Karama says 2 years ago, Lexington saw a large number of stolen firearms that were reported. He believes there's a direct correlation between that and the number of homicides, both of which have decreased. Hazard's seen a boom in its downtown area. To further showcase the beauty of Hazard, a banner was hung outside of the goal line on July 8th. The picture was taken by Hazard native Robert Hall and has been featured in magazines. The banner shows the mountains that rise above Hazard and is a reminder of the beauty here in the mountains of eastern Kentucky. Coming up at 11, price hikes at the store could be improving, including prescription drugs even costing less. All that and more with Consumer News.
A few stray showers do stick around with a shower chance again tomorrow. However, a comfortable weather pattern is on the way. I'll have the details next.